Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Anita, and I welcome everyone who's joining us on Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook on behalf of Manhattan Meditation Center. We really appreciate you making the time to be with us on Thursday evenings, especially during the holiday season. So before we start today's topic, again, some necessary administrative announcements. Recordings of these talks is available on YouTube channel of Manhattan Meditation Center. The playlist is named Wisdom in Action. This series is called Wisdom in Action. So we have put all the lectures in that playlist. Talks are also available on the Facebook page of Manhattan Center. Besides this, Manhattan Center offers live meditation twice a day, Power Boost meditation from Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. in the noon, and Good Night meditation from Monday to Saturday at 8 p.m. and on Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Meditations are only for 15 to 20 minutes. If you are joining us on the live meditation, that is wonderful. We really welcome your company. If you have not taken the time to do it, please, we encourage you to join live meditation to reap the benefit of it. But the recordings of the meditations are also available on our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook. So if you cannot make the time during the day, you can watch the recordings at your convenience and still take the benefit. This month, on 15th of December, we are also offering a workshop called Meditation in Movement. Very useful, right? We generally think meditation, we really need to sit down, find the quiet corner. But there could be a different way also. So if you want to learn more about it, join us. The registration link is available on our website. I'll post the website address in the chat in a little while. The timing for the workshop is from 10 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. And that's on Saturday, December 15th. So that's all for housekeeping. So today's topic, emotional declutter. I thought it's a very appropriate topic for the time we are in, right? It's a holiday season. We need to meet our friends and family. And often, at least I see in movies and TV serials and all, there is a lot of stress about meeting family and friends. Most of family lives in India. But I do relate with the stress whenever I have to travel. So the point is, why there will be any stress? If without family, there is no fun, joy, or happiness in life, right? No matter how successful one becomes, you still, unless until you can share your achievements also with the family, or you can just go home and relax and unravel yourself. Life doesn't make much sense. I read books written by Michelle Obama, and I was reading the other one also by Barack Obama. And, when they are with their children, they are just like you and I, but to enjoy those moments, mind has to be free and available, right? We declutter our closets. We declutter kitchens also. There's always a process in that, right? At least the process I go through is, once I look at my closet, I take out stuff which I haven't used in a while. And if I'm not sure, then I move it to the garage or to the basement. It's like not decided whether I want to throw it away or want to use it again. And then in a second look, then I clean it. Something similar happens with emotion, right? We collect and collect. And but we often don't really put an effort to declutter, to clean up. and have that mind and heart available to enjoy the joy and the happiness with the friends and family. When you are in the company of friends and family, make it happen. So there is a process to that also. And that's what Sister Rona is going to talk about today, how we can declutter our emotions, right? Because emotions, I also heard one time, and I really like that definition. I don't know whether it's accurate, very accurate, that emotions are energy in motion. And when we clutter ourselves, we are just blocked. We need to kind of unblock ourselves. So without further delay, I'm going to invite Sister Rona to share her thoughts so we can actually enjoy the company of friends and family. I know one major holiday is already gone, but the second biggest one is right around the corner. So we have some time on our hands to really declutter if there is any clutter. So welcome, Sister Rona.
Thank you, Anita.
Hello, welcome.
And maybe before we start, we can have a few moments of silence. Silence is one way to declutter. No? There's a lot of sound and a lot of noise and a lot of talking. So one way to maybe put the first step is create some silence and create an atmosphere of silence. Thank you. One thing that happens when there is silence, external silence, silence in terms of absence of noise and sound, or absence of talking. One thing that happens is we become more aware of what is going on in our mind. And silence of mouth in the sense of we're not talking, you're not producing any sounds, doesn't necessarily mean that there is silence in the mind also. And that if there are lots and lots and lots and lots of thoughts, it is possible that those thoughts in itself creates a lot of clutter, depending on the quality of the thoughts that we have. And one tendency that human beings have at present, especially in the present day lifestyle and present day routine and present day society that we have created, is to think a lot and to think very fast and to think about a lot of different things in a very short period of time. And that may not be the best way for us to use our mind. Is the sound okay?
Yes, Sister Rona, sound is good.
We have this precious ability, or precious function called mind. But we need to learn to use it in a constructive, in a beneficial way. And many of us never really were ever taught how to use our mind. Many, if not everyone of us, even in the medical studies, even in the area of psychology and psychiatry, those areas that deal with the mind in medical school, hardly time was spent on how does the mind work and how can we guide the mind in a proper way. And so when we talk about emotions, emotions is one of the products coming out of our mind. Thoughts, feelings, a certain attitude, the vibrations that we put out, and emotions, they are all products of our mind. Now, and if we are not taught how to use our mind properly, then how are we supposed to? How will we ever be able to create a mind that is clean, a mind that is peaceful, a mind that is organized, a mind that is not cluttered? Because it is not only emotions that create clutter, and emotions is a product of the mind, but emotions is also the fruit of our thoughts. So whatever is created in the mind in the form of thoughts, those thoughts lead to certain feelings and lead to certain emotions. And then those emotions may be becoming strong and overwhelming that we don't even realize that there was a certain thought process before that going on. But that is how those emotions and emotional turmoil is created, because there were certain thought processes going on beforehand. So if we want to declutter, we need to be looking at that whole area of thoughts and awareness and deeper sense of self and the way we look at life. And so this is very useful to understand, that this mind is there, and all kinds of things happen in the mind, but they start with a thought. But that mind also holds a certain what is it? You could say psychological model, the way we think of life and the way we think of ourselves. Now, first, let us start with trying to identify a bit of the clutter that is there. What are some examples of these things that are cluttering the mind? One thing that you may observe even within yourself, but also maybe around and others, is that regardless of successes and victories and things going well, regardless of that, there still are tendencies to worry. Regardless of circumstances and situations or relationships, being nice, being pleasant, being entertainment, there is still the tendency inside to criticize or to complain or to be in a bad mood. Even though things maybe, like for example, now with all these different festivals going on, festivities going on, and people going to all kinds of entertainment activities and visiting family. These are all supposed to be things of fun, things of joy, things of happiness, things of meeting and greeting and having fun together, having moments of love and joy and contentment together. But still, some noise going on, complaining, criticizing, gossiping, worrying, anxieties, even though there are circumstances of joy and of love and of sharing. So regardless of external situations, regardless of circumstances, we kind of not necessarily have control over this mind. And we have kind of created a mindset that is heading for negativity, that is predisposed for some negative chant going on, or some tendency going on to find fault and to find something to complain about or to criticize. Now, sometimes you have done 100 things right, and one thing didn't go right. At night, what will come in the mind? Very often it will be that one thing that didn't go right. And not all the 99 other things or the 100 things that went, the one thing that went wrong, and not all the 100 things that went right. So somehow we have created this tendency towards negativity. And that is what is a big source of this clutter going on inside. We have created a mindset that is predisposed to be trapped in what is unpleasant, in what is negative, in what is destructive, in what is creating discontentment. And so this mindset that is predisposing us for clutter is what we need to look at if we want to truly declutter. Now, because if there is a certain amount of clutter and we take out some clutter But on the other hand, more clutter is being produced, then you don't really, then you're not really decluttering. And then there is not really anything useful going on. And you yourself will just get exhausted and tired and maybe even disheartened, because I'm working so hard to not get irritated by my cousin who always pokes his nose, for example. And I'm making so much effort to not get irritated by that. But if I have a mindset that focuses on weaknesses or focus on the negative, then I will find something else, someone else, somewhere else to get irritated about. And so that kind of decluttering just makes you tired. It makes you also, it makes you ultimately disillusioned, because you feel you're making so much effort to create positive thoughts, but you still see that you may have shut out certain area of negative thoughts and negative feelings. But on the other hand, something else emerges again. Now you are annoyed about your niece who doesn't eat with her spoon right and whatever. So that tendency to get annoyed is what needs to be addressed if we want to declutter truly, emotionally, but not only emotions, also all these useless thoughts and these negative or destructive thoughts, or these uh, waste thoughts is what we also call it, these cyclical, repetitive thoughts, thinking over and over the same thing, which might not even necessarily be something destructive, but just the same thing. Why they do like this? Why they don't do like that? Why this? Why that? It just become like a chant inside, and we drive ourselves crazy. And others are just having fun. Maybe you just in this emotional turmoil and for nothing. I'm simplifying it and I'm making it look silly and ridiculous. That is helpful partly also to get out of this mess that we can put ourselves in very, very easily. And so this mind is like central in our experiences. What thoughts are produced in the mind, what feelings are produced in the mind, what emotions are produced in the mind, what vibrations are created, what attitude is created in the mind. All of that, it can be useful, it can be useless, it can be positive or it can be negative. It can be spiritual or it can be not spiritual. It can be destructive or it can be elevated. And depending on what the connotation of it is, that is what will be experienced as clutter. And it has often, when it is clutter, it has a certain speed. And often when it is clutter, you can't stop it. It just goes on and on and on. And if you stop one, then something else pops up. If you stop another area, something else pops up. Emotional clutter is connected with feelings and thoughts. Now, it requires a different mindset to really declutter. And to understand that our thoughts and our feelings, it has a deeper seed. It is rooted in our deeper wisdom and our model that we use towards ourselves and our model for life. And to give an example, how important as if glasses through which we function are. Now, there is this famous quote of a European philosopher named Kant. He says, we look at the world to different colored glasses. And if the glasses are green, we see the world green. If the glasses are red, we see the world red. And these glasses through which we look is like a psychological model. And so what it means, depending on our model, that is how we see things, how we think, and what we experience from things. Now, and it's not necessarily objective. It is how we perceive things to be has to do with the model that we have. Now, for example, in certain cultures, when a baby is born, they come together and they cry. They gather around and they cry. Because in their belief system, in their mindset around birth, is that this is not something good. Soul comes into this world and will suffer. So they cry. In New York City, if a baby gets born, we throw a party. Because we think that is the best thing that can happen and source for celebration. Now, who's right, who's wrong? It is a question of what is your model, and you experience what according to your model. In some cultures, when someone dies, they they make a party. They come together and they celebrate, because in their model, leaving this world is a good thing, is a great thing, is something beautiful that can happen to someone, being liberated from this world. In New York City, somebody leaves the body, we cry. Because in our model, that is the worst thing that can happen. In some cultures, women extract the 2 front teeth at a young age. You know why? Because they think that is beautiful. No, 2 front teeth. In that culture, that is considered as beautiful. In other cultures, they try to stretch the neck. No, so when girls are growing, they stretch the neck so that long neck is seen as beautiful. In this culture, they paint the nails and they paint the face different colors. Why? Because we think it's beautiful. In other cultures, they may think, what is this? You don't have long neck, so you are not beautiful, no matter how much you paint the face. So thoughts, feelings, emotions, attitude, they are connected with that a deeper model, a deeper idea of what life is all about and how we look at life and look at situations. Now, and that can also not only from culture to culture vary, it can vary over time. 200 years ago, it was considered beautiful and healthy in the Western world, Europe, America, if a woman was fat. So 200 kilogram was considered beautiful and fat for an average woman, beautiful and healthy for an average, not 200 pound. Now we don't feel like that. We think this is very ugly. Now the culture is more towards skinny and less weight. But feelings are connected with the deeper belief system and with the deeper conditioning, the mindset about certain things. And so to declutter emotionally, to come out of all kinds of complicated and exhausting emotions, we need to examine our mindset. And what mindset is it that creates this clutter? And what kind of mindset frees us from clutter emotionally? Now, one way to get an idea of your mindset is to look at the language that we use. Now, certain words that are used in our language, and not only language in terms of words that we speak, but also the words that we think. It gives us, it is an indication of the mindset we carry. And you have an idea what kind of words we use most often in our inner talk, self-talk, and talk with others. It gives you an idea of what kind of mindset. Any idea? Anyone has an idea? I think you can open your mic and just share. What words are most often used in our present day life and culture? You think?
Busy, sister?
Busy? Very good.
I don't know. Everybody
busy.
says I'm busy, very busy, very busy.
I'm busy. That is even these days the answer to the question, how are you? They say, I'm busy. Don't know what that means. Does it mean good or not good? How are you? I'm busy. That is definitely a word that is used often. Any other words?
I'm fine.
Sorry?
I'm fine. Whether
I'm
you are
fine.
fine or not, everybody said, how are you? I'm fine.
I'm fine. Okay. I'm fine. Any other word or words that are often used in our
Stressing out.
stressing out? It was.
I'm talking about all the negative stuff. Like I'm not like good, but I'm just saying we declare. We are like we need to take it out, those words from our mind.
One word, actually two words that are often used are the words I and mine. These two words. And so I did this, I want that, I need this, I'm going to do this, I just did this, my cat, my book, my work, my money,
That's
my
true.
activities, my time, my thought, my opinion. I and mine. these are two words that are quite universally used all the time. And just observe the self in some kind of social gathering and observe others, how often this I and mine is used. And it gives you an idea of how, what our mindset is. Everything revolves around I and my, and many times it is I want, I need, I desire, I expect, I hope, and mine. And it gives us an idea how our world revolves around this I and mine. And so lots of clutter is around I want, I need, I desire, I expecting. And this mindset that produces this kind of language is a mindset of emptiness, is a mindset of neediness, is a mindset of insecurity, is a mindset of anxiety, is a mindset of uncertainty, is a mindset of unclarity about the bigger picture, and unclarity or absence of vision, a broader vision of life, a broader vision of future also. And that kind of mindset, of course, it will create a lot of complicated and unpleasant and negative and insecure emotions and feelings. No matter how much we try to organize externally situations or life, no matter how much we try to control other people or circumstances, if there is a mindset of emptiness, if there is a mindset of dependency, if there is a mindset of weakness, no matter what external situations will be like, there will always be useless and negative thoughts and feelings, and they will rule us. So how can we come into a mindset of peace? How can we come into a mindset of fullness? How can we come into a mindset of security? How can we come into a mindset that holds a more complete picture of life and where there is no fear for future? How can one be in a mindset of contentment where there is no need of I, and me, and my, mine all the time, and this chatter inside all the time? Now, this is where the spiritual model comes in, and this is where spiritual knowledge can become so useful, because spiritual knowledge tells us, has a very clear and defined knowledge about self and perspective on life. And I'll just try and draw it so that it becomes more visual also and easier to grasp. So spiritual knowledge says that There is a visible dimension, a physical dimension, and there is a non-visible, non-physical dimension of life. And normally when we use these words, I and mine, we think of ourselves as this, bodily beings with a certain hairdo. And we think of mine as that what is around us, maybe my child, my boss, my job, my money, my house, my hobbies, my country, my culture, my language, my education, my interests, my pets, my people, my race, my political ideas. I and mine, it centers around all of this. And this sense of I is what is called ego. Ego is how you define yourself. You define yourself based on job. That means there is ego of job. You define yourself based on money. It means there is ego about money. So, and all these different egos, they have their own thoughts. So they have their own feelings and their own desires. And when I think of the self in terms of job, for example, or in terms of relationships, there are certain needs and desires and expectations. And even in terms of the body, if I think of myself in terms of the body and the appearance and the gender, there are certain types of thoughts and feelings and needs and emotions connected with that. But all of this is perishable. Whether we like it or not, it is all temporary. Even this body is temporary. There was a time when the soul, the consciousness entered the body, and there is a time when consciousness, soul leaves the body, and then the body will just, what they say, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Body will return to the elements of matter, and body is not eternal. So to identify myself as a body, innately it has within that identity, within that ego, there is some form of anxiety or fear because this body will not last forever. So anytime we identify with something that is perishable, something that will end, it has within it a seed of insecurity and anxiety, and therefore clutter. But this is how we look at ourselves. This is the model that we have created in our mind. This is the mindset we have, that we are physical, bodily beings. I am this, and mine is this. And so this ego and these dependencies and these bondages in terms of mine, they become a source of basic insecurity, a foundational layer of insecurity in the mind. And from there thoughts come, and from there feelings and emotions come, which are unpleasant sooner or later. They are that mindset of emptiness, mindset of neediness, mindset of incompleteness, and expecting and desiring and complaining and criticizing and worrying. It comes from that basic identifying with what is perishable. Now, spiritual knowledge says, actually, you are not that. You are a spiritual being of light, a being of consciousness, a soul. And soul is invisible. Soul is not physical. And therefore, soul doesn't, is not perishable, not temporary. Transcends the limitations of matter. Consciousness has always existed, and it will always continue to exist. It transcends the limitations of the body, and it transcends the limitations of anything that is perishable. And so once we begin to truly see the self as a spiritual being who is temporarily a guest on this planet, a guest in this body, then this human bodily life is an extra temporary experience. If that is the model with which I live, that is a completely different model. And innately, the being of consciousness, the soul, the real self, innately is divine in nature, godlike. This awareness creates a deeper sense of security because the real self, the soul, the spiritual being, does not end. What ends is this extra temporary experience. This visit in this body finishes. This visit on this planet can end, has a beginning and an end. But the real self, the soul, does not end and does not perish. And that is why, for example, a phenomena like death doesn't create that emotional turmoil if one lives in this guest consciousness. One moment. If one lives in this awareness of a visitor, and also, so this understanding of this word I from a spiritual perspective is very different than when we think of the self as I, as a physical, a mortal being. And the word mine also creates a completely different impact, or has a completely different atmosphere in the mind, because knowing the self as a guest, as a temporary visitor, nothing here truly is mine. At the most, we are trustees. Even this body doesn't truly belong to me. It belongs to matter. It belongs to nature. And sooner or later, I will have to give this body back to nature, whether I like or not. But we are trustees of the body. So you respect the body, you take care of it, you use it. The body gives comfort if we treat the body right. But it is not mine. It never was. It was entrusted to me for a temporary period. And so if even this body is not mine, then how can anybody else be mine? Or how can anything else in this temporary world of visit be mine? It is a gift in the form of an extra experience. Every interaction is a gift, but no one is mine. Nothing is mine. And if there is no mine, then there is also no possibility to lose. And this losing or this threat of losing something, that is what creates lots of emotional turmoil and clutter. So if nothing is mine, I cannot lose. Now, for people who are visiting, they are usually the most carefree and they enjoy most because they don't have this hype of mine, and it can break and I can lose. They're visiting. No, this is a nice extra experience, and they enjoy everything, and then they go. True emotional declutter is to go through life with this mindset of a visitor. You are involved in everything, you can use everything, experience, experiment, share, interact, but you don't get into this mine, and therefore worries and expectations and criticism and complaints and fear and anxiety around losing. It is just a nice extra experience. So I would encourage you to play with this. In the morning, before you after you wake up, but before you start your day, take a few minutes and truly reflect how the self is actually this being of consciousness. And play with this visitor or guest awareness. Even this body is such a precious vehicle that is entrusted to us. It creates a deeper sense of gratitude when we do that. But not cross the line into mine, and I. And get into this trap of all kinds of complicated emotions caused by insecurity. And so experiment with this. Every morning, take 5 minutes before you start. Reinforce this awareness. And then in different situations during the day, remind yourself, yes, let me play with this guest consciousness. And see how you feel. See how you feel when you remind yourself, nothing and no one is mine. So I can't really lose anyone because they're not mine in the first place. And anyway, soul never dies. Everyone is on their ongoing journey. Play with this, experiment with this. If you truly want to go to the root of all the clutter and get it out, this is a shortcut. But no one can do it for you. Play with this. Any thoughts or comments? Or questions? Anyone, you can also write in the chat if you cannot open your mic. Can't read. Maybe Anita can read. So,
Ms. Rona, it's a comment, a beautiful explanation of who am I.
If there are no questions or comments, then maybe we can just close with some minutes of meditation. Is that okay? Okay. Then just take a few moments and let us aim to consciously come back to this awareness. And this as if waking up. Please check your mic that it is muted. It is like waking up. It's like becoming aware of our existence at a non-physical level. Invisible. The one who is experiencing everything. The one who is even experiencing this body and the bodily sensations is the soul. Timeless, imperishable, subtle being of consciousness. And we can use the image of light, tiny star, and just play with this, shift that sense of self away from body and the role that we play and the gender and culture to this spiritual being of light. Like a tiny star. Timeless light. And just hold this image and hold these thoughts in the mind. And allow them to become like a deeper experience and see the truth of this. And it is not that we ignore the body or ignore the physical world. No, we acknowledge it, but also acknowledge the invisible dimension. Living, conscious being of light. the invisible experiencer, soul. One who is a guest in this body, a guest on this planet, free, timeless, peaceful, living light. Innately godlike in nature. And as we go through the rest of this evening, let us aim to hold this awareness or come back to it repeatedly and try and grasp that mind of a visitor and a trustee, as opposed to this mind of emptiness, of I, and my, mine. A guest visiting, innately godlike, full and complete. The soul. This is the real self. Thank you.